I was the family's financial anchor for decades, always helping when they needed money. But when I was fighting for my life in a coma, I discovered their true nature. What I heard them say still haunts me. At 34, lying motionless in that sterile hospital bed, I discovered something that would shatter everything I believed about family loyalty. What my brother whispered to our parents while they thought I was dying would change the trajectory of my entire life forever. As I lay there, machines beeping around me, my brother David leaned close to our parents and said the words that still echo in my mind. He's not going to make it. We should just take his money now. My mother Catherine nodded without hesitation. He won't need it anyway. I was supposed to be unconscious, lost in a medically induced coma, but this morning my phone was buzzing with frantic missed calls. They had lost everything. All right, I'm finally sharing this story after keeping it locked inside for weeks. Fair warning, this is going to be an emotional journey, and I'm still processing the anger and betrayal. My hands are trembling as I recount this, so bear with me through the details. I've always been the anchor in my family, the one everyone turns to when storms hit. Everyone else seemed destined for financial chaos. My brother David, 37 years old, burns through every paycheck on fantasy sports betting and can't maintain employment longer than 8 months. My mother Catherine, 61, hasn't held a steady job in years and constantly seeks loans she conveniently forgets to repay. My sister Emma, 31, drowns in credit card debt chasing an influencer lifestyle her teacher's salary could never sustain. Meanwhile, I've dedicated years to building something solid. I worked every available overtime shift, skipped family vacations, and managed to accumulate around $127,000. That money represented my future, a house down payment I'd sacrificed everything to save. 3 weeks ago, my world literally collapsed. I won't go into graphic detail, but a massive piece of industrial equipment fell and crushed the left side of my body. The ambulance ride remains a blur before doctors placed me in a medically induced coma due to severe brain swelling. My family was told I might not survive. Here's what they don't tell you about those comas. Sometimes your consciousness remains trapped inside a motionless body. You can't move, can't open your eyes, can't speak, but your mind stays horrifyingly alert. It's like being buried alive in your own flesh, aware of everything happening around you. My family visited daily at first. The initial days brought normal bedside conversations, Catherine crying softly, Emma whispering prayers, David standing awkwardly in the corner. But on the fourth day, something sinister emerged. I remember every detail with crystal clarity. The nurse had just finished checking my vitals and stepped out. David waited several heartbeats, ensuring we were alone, then moved closer to my bed. His voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper as he told our mother, he's not going to make it. We should just take his money now. I wanted desperately to believe I'd misheard, that the medications were creating auditory hallucinations. But Catherine's response crushed any hope of misunderstanding. He won't need it anyway, she said with chilling matter-of-factness. They began discussing my bank accounts, my investment portfolio, how they could gain access. David mentioned something about power of attorney, and Catherine added, the doctor said his brain was severely damaged. Even if he wakes up, he probably won't remember anything. Emma showed momentary hesitation. Guys, this feels fundamentally wrong, she protested weakly. But David silenced her quickly, reminding her about her overwhelming credit card debt and how this windfall could solve everyone's financial problems. When you're trapped in complete physical paralysis, your other senses become impossibly acute. I noticed the metallic jingle of Catherine's cheap bracelets when she grasped my hand. David's spearmint gum mixed with the lingering scent of beer from his lunch. The ceiling tiles above contained exactly 322 tiny perforations each. I counted them obsessively to maintain sanity. There I was, fully conscious, listening to my own family orchestrate the theft of everything I'd worked to achieve. $127,000 that had cost me 8 years of relentless saving. Money I'd chosen over vacations, over decent meals, over owning a reliable car. I'd taken public transportation through brutal winters to save every possible dollar. The entire time, I was screaming inside my paralyzed skull, but nothing emerged, not even the slightest muscle twitch. The most devastating realization was that this behavior wasn't unprecedented, just the most extreme manifestation of a lifelong pattern. When Catherine's roof collapsed 2 years ago, who provided $8,400 for repairs? Me. When David got arrested after that bar altercation and needed bail money, I gave him $2,800. When Emma's car died, I loaned her $4,000 she never even acknowledged, let alone repaid. I've been their financial safety net throughout my entire adult life. The moment they believed I was departing this world permanently, they were prepared to drain my accounts without a second thought. After they left that day, something extraordinary happened. I actually cried. Real tears flowed from my supposedly unconscious eyes. One of the nurses, Victoria, noticed the moisture and gently wiped my face. She mentioned it was normal for coma patients to have involuntary physical reactions. If only she understood what had triggered those tears. For the next 3 days, I endured their increasingly detailed planning sessions. David knew someone who could help with forged paperwork. Catherine was already mentally redecorating her kitchen with her anticipated share. Emma remained quieter but undeniably complicit, still participating in the conspiracy. They discussed my fate as if I were already deceased, right there beside my breathing body. Catherine kept using phrases like, "such a tragedy," in artificial, sorrowful tones, while literally plotting to rob me. David repeatedly justified their actions by saying he'd want us to be taken care of, and he was always helping us anyway. I found myself thinking about all those Reddit stories I'd read about toxic families and inheritance drama. Never imagined I'd be living through one from inside a medically induced coma. On the seventh day, everything shifted dramatically. The doctor entered with my family and announced that my brain swelling was reducing significantly. They would begin the process of bringing me out of the coma. He explained I was responding remarkably well and had excellent prospects for recovery. The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. Nobody spoke for at least 30 seconds. Then Catherine began fake sobbing about miracles while David peppered the doctor with pointed questions about cognitive damage and potential memory issues. That moment crystallized my decision. I wouldn't reveal immediately that I'd heard everything. Instead, I would play the confused, grateful family member until I could devise a strategy to protect myself. That night, when only Nurse Victoria remained, I felt her adjusting my foreline. She whispered, "Your family left. It's just us now." I concentrated every ounce of energy into my hand and managed the faintest squeeze of her fingers. She froze completely, then squeezed back. "Can you hear me?" she asked in barely audible tones. I squeezed again. Are you aware when they visit?" Another confirming squeeze. She remained silent for several minutes before saying, "I'm going to help you. Just hang in there." Honestly, I think Victoria had sensed something disturbing about my family. The way they spoke when they believed no one was listening versus their performance when medical staff were present was suspiciously inconsistent. The following morning, doctors initiated my emergence from the coma. They explained it would be gradual, that I wouldn't achieve full consciousness immediately. Perfect timing for my strategy. And that's where I find myself now. I'm officially awake but maintaining an act of confusion and disorientation. The medical team says memory issues are completely normal after my type of trauma. My family has been all tears and embraces, performing their relief beautifully. But I catch David texting furtively when he thinks I'm not observing. I notice Catherine studying me with calculating eyes. Only Emma seems genuinely happy about my recovery, though she still participated in their scheme. Nurse Victoria discreetly provided me with my phone when no one else was around. She shared that her brother experienced something similar, family members trying to exploit him after an accident. She's been creating opportunities for privacy by conducting fictional tests and procedures. Tomorrow, my friend Christopher is visiting. He's the only person I trust completely right now. I'm going to reveal everything and develop a comprehensive plan to safeguard my finances before my family can access them. The doctor estimates I'll be discharged in approximately 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks to construct a trap for the people who were ready to steal from me while I fought for my life. I've never experienced rage this consuming. Sometimes I can barely see straight when I contemplate their betrayal. But I'm going to ensure they deeply regret ever believing they could take what belongs to me. I'll update you as events unfold. Right now, I need to hide my phone before the night shift nurse arrives. Holy hell. This story exploded while I was sleeping. Thanks for all the support and awards. For those asking, yes, I'm planning to completely sever ties with them, but I need to approach this strategically. I can't go nuclear immediately or they'll realize something's changed. Many of you are suggesting I get legal representation immediately. I hear you. Christopher is helping coordinate that aspect, so don't worry. I'm documenting absolutely everything. Hey everyone, it's Michael again. The response to my first post was absolutely overwhelming. Had to disable notifications because my phone was literally overheating from comments. I appreciate all the support. I'm going to need every bit of it. As I mentioned previously, I'm now conscious but maintaining my confused patient facade. Doctors confirmed that memory loss and disorientation are expected after my type of trauma, so I've been exploiting that thoroughly. My family has no idea I remember every single word they spoke when they believed I was vegetative. Christopher visited the day after my last update. Best decision ever, having Victoria text him through my phone when my family wasn't present. When I told him everything, his expression cycled through approximately 5 different emotions in 10 seconds. He wanted to confront my family immediately, but I convinced him we needed a more sophisticated approach. Christopher works in cybersecurity and understands digital protection better than I ever bothered to learn. That expertise is going to save me. Our first priority was securing my phone, keeping it hidden under my pillow or blanket during family visits. We've been recording every conversation. In just 3 days since I awakened, they've said enough incriminating material to fill a documentary. The most disturbing aspect is their Jekyll and Hyde transformation. They'll say one thing when we're alone, then completely switch personas when nurses or doctors enter. Yesterday, David was telling me I should focus exclusively on recovery and not worry about complicated matters like finances, while Catherine nodded supportively. Then my doctor walked in, and suddenly they're proclaiming, "We're just so grateful he's alive, and family is everything to us." It makes me physically ill. The recordings are difficult to listen to. David asked if I remembered my banking passwords yesterday, framing it as concern about paying my bills during recovery. When I mumbled uncertainty, I saw that predatory gleam in his eyes. Absolutely disgusting. Catherine keeps bringing homemade food that tastes terrible, by the way, while performing maternal care. Then, when she thinks I'm napping, she's on the phone discussing kitchen renovations with the money that's coming. What they don't realize is that Christopher and I have been exceptionally busy. First, we changed all my banking passwords. Then we established a completely new email account they don't know about for financial alerts. But here's the truly brilliant part: we created decoy accounts. Christopher discovered an application that generates fake banking interfaces that appear completely legitimate. We configured it on my phone with numbers similar to my real accounts, but not exact 87,000 instead of my actual 127,000. Different enough that if they notice discrepancies later, I can blame memory issues from the accident. Our trap was nearly exposed when Emma caught me texting Christopher from the bathroom. I played it off as confusion about the date, claiming I needed someone to remind me. She believed it, but I could sense suspicion. Had to dramatically increase my confused patient performance afterward, even drooled slightly during dinner to sell the act. Not my most dignified moment, but strategically necessary. The doctors are reporting that my cognitive function is improving faster than anticipated. I've been concealing this progress from my family, acting significantly more confused than I actually am. When they're present, I stare blankly, forget words mid-sentence, and ask repetitive questions. Oscar-worthy performance, honestly. The next phase of our plan activated 3 days ago. David brought actual legal documents to the hospital power of attorney forms. I pretended to be half asleep while he explained to Catherine that this would simply make things easier for everyone. He had the audacity to ask my doctor if I was mentally competent to make independent decisions. Fortunately, my doctor, who I'm beginning to suspect has his own suspicions, stated that while I'm experiencing some expected cognitive issues, I remain legally capable of making my own decisions. The disappointment on David's face was almost comedic. So I did something risky. I signed the papers. But here's Christopher's genius: I signed them with my left hand. I'm naturally right-handed, and I deliberately misspelled my own middle name. If these criminals attempt to use this document, it won't hold legal weight. We've already established a legitimate power of attorney with Christopher, properly notarized thanks to Victoria smuggling in a notary friend during the night shift. Speaking of Victoria, this woman deserves recognition beyond measure. She's been running interference, providing privacy for conversations with Christopher, and even smuggled in my laptop yesterday. She accidentally spilled water on David when he was getting too intrusive about my treatment plan. I'm sending her the most elaborate gift basket imaginable when this ordeal ends. Last night brought me closest to destroying everything. Catherine was sitting beside my bed scrolling through Pinterest kitchen renovations on my tablet, showing Emma backsplash options they might choose once things settle. I gripped my sheets so tightly my knuckles went white. Had to fake a coughing fit so they'd summon the nurse and give me a moment to regain composure. The rage I experience is unlike anything I've ever felt. It's physically manifested, my heart pounds, and my vision actually blurs when they speak. I imagine screaming, "I heard everything you said when I was in the coma," and watching their faces crumble. But that would destroy everything we've constructed. Christopher and I have created what he calls a financial honeypot. We've transferred most of my real money into new secured accounts they can't access, leaving approximately $15,000 in my original accounts as bait. The decoy banking application shows fake balances that appear realistic. Yesterday, I had a breakthrough in my recovery. I suddenly remembered my banking password. Told David with pathetic, grateful voice that I was so fortunate to have family looking out for me. Asked if he could help me check my accounts since I was still struggling with numbers. The greedy bastard practically lunged for my phone. I watched his eyes illuminate when the fake balance loaded $87,223 in checking, $26,750 in savings. These are my real numbers, but close enough to match their expectations. He immediately offered to help organize my finances during recovery. I'm being discharged tomorrow. 2 weeks of playing weak and confused have paid dividends. They have no idea what's approaching. David has offered to let me stay at his apartment until I'm back on my feet, claiming it'll be easier than my third-floor walk-up. What he really wants is 24/7 access to manipulate me. I agreed with grateful puppy dog enthusiasm that made me want to shower afterward. I'll be staying with him for 3 days maximum while we finalize our plan's final components. The most bizarre development happened this morning. Emma pulled me aside when the others went for coffee. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying. She asked if I was really okay, if I needed anything. For a split second, I almost revealed everything. But then I remembered her sitting silently while they planned to rob me. Trust is completely shattered. I'm composing this from the hospital bathroom with the shower running, so they think I'm cleaning up. Christopher is collecting me tomorrow in his car since mine is still at my apartment. The doctors have provided strict recovery instructions, physical therapy, and follow-up appointments. My family has already been discussing how expensive all this medical care will be, and good thing you've been saving. They have no conception of what's about to devastate them. The decoy accounts are programmed to trigger a fraud investigation accounts frozen alert exactly 3 days after I move in with David. By then, I'll be ready to relocate to Christopher's guest room instead. I'm terrified and furious, and sometimes I break down crying in the bathroom, but I'm also more determined than I've ever been in my life. These people, my so-called family, were prepared to steal from me when they believed I was dying. There's no recovering from that level of betrayal. My next update will probably be after everything explodes. Send positive energy that our plan succeeds. I've never been skilled at confrontation, probably why they've walked all over me for years. But this time is different. This time they messed with the wrong person. Stop telling me to get legal representation. Christopher's sister is an attorney and she's helping us pro bono. We have this completely covered. Some of you are saying I should forgive Emma since she showed hesitation. Hesitation isn't equivalent to actually defending me. She still participated. Maybe she gets an opportunity to explain herself later, but right now I trust nobody with my DNA. Getting discharged in 2 hours. David is bringing sweatpants and a t-shirt for me to wear home. Excuse me while I check them for hidden tracking devices. Only half joking. First off, the support for my previous posts has been absolutely mind-blowing. Sorry for disappearing for almost 2 weeks. A tremendous amount has transpired, and I needed time to process everything. Buckle up, because this is one extraordinary update. After discharge, I moved in with David as planned. His apartment was a complete disaster zone, empty beer cans everywhere, sink overflowing with crusted dishes, bathroom I was legitimately afraid to enter. But I maintained my grateful little brother performance, smiling through clenched teeth every time he helped me check my banking application daily. The strangest aspect of staying with him was witnessing how he actually lives. His refrigerator contained exactly 3 items: beer, ketchup, and a half-eaten burrito that might have been cultivating penicillin. The man is 37, but lives like a college freshman. He kept making comments about how when things stabilize, he might upgrade to a larger place. Wonder where that funding was supposed to originate. Day 2 at David's. Catherine came over with Emma. They brought homemade dinner that was obviously just takeout transferred to Tupperware. I literally saw the DoorDash driver from the window. Catherine spent the entire meal discussing kitchen renovations and showing me Pinterest boards on her phone. She kept asking, "What do you think of this backsplash, honey?" As if I cared about her theft-funded remodeling plans. I noticed David texting constantly under the table. Later, I accidentally glimpsed his screen while pretending confusion about where to put my plate. He was texting someone named Marcus about securing the funds by Friday and paying back what he owed plus interest. Gambling debts, undoubtedly. That night, after everyone departed, I pretended to fall asleep on the couch while David was on the phone. He straight up told whoever it was that he'd have the money soon, and my brother doesn't need to know. My blood was boiling, but I kept my breathing steady. Hardest acting performance of my life. On day 3, the real entertainment began. I gave David the login to my decoy online banking portal that Christopher had created. Told him I was having trouble tracking my bills and could use his assistance. The greedy asshole couldn't input the information fast enough. I swear, the look on his face when he saw those account balances, you'd think he'd won the lottery. He was literally licking his lips while scrolling through my transaction history. Asked if I was certain I wanted him handling things. I performed it perfectly, confused, grateful, totally clueless. That afternoon, while David was running errands, probably consulting with his bookie, I snuck out to meet Christopher at Starbucks. My legs were still weak from the extended hospital stay, but adrenaline sustained me. Christopher had already configured the final phase of our plan, a fake transaction approval screen that would display when they attempted to move money from my accounts. When I returned, David never even noticed my absence. He was too busy on the phone with Catherine making plans. I pretended to take extra pain medication and went to sleep early. By morning, I was packed and ready to depart for Christopher's place. But before I could leave, David asked for a small favor. Could he transfer some money to his account temporarily to cover expenses he'd incurred while caring for me? Just $15,000 that he'd definitely repay soon. I looked at him with grateful eyes and said, "Of course, family helps family." I logged into the fake portal, entered his account information, and showed him the transfer successful screen. He literally embraced me. It took everything I had not to punch him in his lying face. An hour later, I was safely at Christopher's place. Then we waited. It took exactly 26 hours for everything to detonate. David called first 4 times consecutively. I didn't answer. Then Catherine called. Then Emma. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably one of David's loser associates. Within 3 hours, I had 37 missed calls and 22 text messages. The text started panicky and quickly turned hostile. David, dude, the money didn't go through. Can you check your account? David, Michael, seriously, I need that transfer ASAP. Catherine, honey, call me right away about your accounts. David, WTF, the bank says your accounts are frozen. Catherine, Michael, pick up your phone. This is important. David, are you fucking kidding me right now? Turns out David had immediately attempted to transfer more than just the $15,000 we'd agreed upon. Christopher's fake banking portal displayed a fraud alert, all accounts temporarily frozen message when he tried to access it again. Even better, Christopher had programmed it to show that the system had detected multiple unauthorized access attempts and suspicious transfer requests totaling $51,400. That's right, this asshole tried to drain nearly half my supposed savings the moment he thought it had cleared. But that's not even the most satisfying part. During those 26 hours, while ignoring their calls, I learned from social media that David had put a deposit down on a new truck. Catherine had scheduled contractors to begin her kitchen renovation the following week. Emma had posted on Instagram about being finally debt-free with some inspirational quote about new beginnings. They spent money they didn't possess and never would possess. After 2 days of ignoring them, I finally texted back a simple message. Sorry, was feeling really bad. What's going on? Playing dumb one final time. The flood of responses was insane. Turns out Catherine had already ordered $21,000 worth of kitchen cabinets. David was on the hook for an $8,500 truck deposit he couldn't retrieve. Emma had paid off $13,000 in credit cards that morning. I agreed to meet them for dinner at Catherine's house to figure everything out. Told them I was confused about what was happening with my accounts too. They bought it completely. Walking into Catherine's house that night was surreal. They were all sitting around the kitchen table looking stressed beyond belief. Catherine had obviously been crying. David was sweating through his shirt. Only Emma looked more confused than panicked. For the first 20 minutes, I maintained the act. Asked innocent questions about what was happening. Let them explain how something strange was occurring with my accounts. David kept insisting it was probably just a temporary system glitch that would resolve soon. Then I placed my phone on the table and hit play on the recording application. Their own voices filled the room. He's not going to make it. We should just take his money now. He won't need it anyway. Even if he wakes up, he probably won't remember anything. The silence that followed was absolutely deafening. Catherine's face drained of all color. David froze with his beer halfway to his mouth. Emma immediately started crying. I just sat there, didn't say a word. Let the recordings play, all of them. Every conversation they had at my hospital bed. Every plan they made thinking I couldn't hear. Every single betraying word. When the recording stopped, I finally spoke. Told them I'd heard everything from my hospital bed. That I remembered every word they said while I was in the coma. That the accounts they thought they were accessing were fake. That my real money was safe somewhere. They would never find it. David exploded. Started screaming about how I'd set them up and tricked them. The irony was completely lost on him. Catherine switched instantly to victim mode, crying about how they were just trying to be practical and would have told me everything if I'd recovered. The most surprising reaction was Emma's. She just kept repeating, "I'm so sorry," over and over. Said she knew it was wrong but didn't have the courage to stand up to them. Begged me to believe she was going to tell me everything once I was better. I didn't scream, didn't cry, just told them exactly what I thought of each of them. How they'd revealed their true nature. How there was no recovering from this. How they were on their own from now on. Catherine tried to guilt-trip me about family and blood and all that manipulation. I just laughed in her face. Told her she stopped being my mother the moment she decided my money was more important than my life. David threatened to make me pay somehow. I played him the part of the recording where he discussed trying to get power of attorney while I was brain damaged. Told him I'd already sent copies to his employer and his girlfriend. That shut him up quickly. As for Emma, I told her I needed time. That while she didn't stop them, at least she showed some hesitation. That maybe someday we could talk, but not anytime soon. I left them sitting there at the table, Catherine crying theatrically, David seething, Emma just looking broken. Walked out and didn't look back. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, David's truck financing fell through, shocking, and he's being sued by the dealership. Catherine had to cancel her kitchen renovation and lost her deposit. Emma is back in credit card debt after the payments she made were reversed. I moved back to my apartment with a new security system. Changed my phone number, kept the old one just to watch the desperate messages accumulate. Christopher helped me install cameras after David showed up drunk at my place. The most unexpected development: Victoria, the nurse from the hospital, reached out through Christopher. Turns out she went through something similar with her own family years ago. We're getting coffee next week. Not saying it's anything romantic yet, but we'll see. It's been 1 month since I woke up from that coma. 1 month of lying, plotting, and finally achieving justice. I don't feel as satisfied as I thought I would. Mostly, I just feel empty, like I lost my family twice: once when they betrayed me, and again when I cut them off. but I also feel stronger somehow. Like I finally stood up for myself after a lifetime of being their financial safety net. Emma texted my new number yesterday. Christopher must have given it to her. Just asked if I was doing okay and said she was starting therapy. I haven't responded yet. Not sure if I will. So that's it. The complete story. Thanks for coming along for this insane journey. Not sure what happens next, but at least I know who I can really trust now. And it sure as hell isn't the people who share my DNA.